We got a guy joining us tonight, guitarist. He's owned a music store. He is an incredible studio engineer for recordings,
The
as
sound man extraordinaire.
sound man extraordinaire. Been around the world,
It has been.
mistaken for Colonel Sanders at the Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
The one and only.
According to Jeff.
According to Jeff, he enjoys a good cigar. Can you hear us, Mr. Jeff Gardner?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We
Oh, yeah.
can.
We
We
can
can.
now.
Oh,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
like-
Yay.
You think around here that would work, you know?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. You guys, Barry and Mel.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've known for 50 years. Barry was
Yes.
two people that I allowed to walk up and talk to me while I was mixing. And Monty was the other one.
Thank you. It's an honor. So, my gosh, you're doing more since you retired than you were when you were
It's
a young man.
it's true. I have retired from the day gig 2019, built my studio at home, and it got really busy doing primarily tape transfer stuff. That just kind of went through the roof. And now I'm working on 3 essentially album projects at once. And one's really moving along. And so working in several different studios, but mixing and mastering here.
Well, shout out if you want to shout out the bands that you're or the acts that you're working
Well, yeah.
on, or if they, yeah.
Two I can. Stephen Helpling is a great young artist, just turned 28, singer, songwriter, guitar player, great stage presence, writes great songs. And he met up with a friend of mine. He mentioned to him he wanted this next album to sound like it, kind of like it was made in the 70s. And he said, you should talk to Jeff. He was there. So we met up and I played him some stuff and he tracks. I mixed them and we hit it off. We finished 6 songs. One has already dropped on the platforms. So it's Helpling, like helping with an L in there. Stephen Helpling. That song is called Lunar Delight. It's already dropped, and we got 4 or 5 more now that are mastered. They're going to be dropping soon. Just a really great Indianapolis artist.
Is that the one that you played over at the Montapalooza?
Yeah. I played some stuff. Some stuff. I brought my flag with me.
Tasty. Yeah.
The other project I can talk about is really cool. The older stuff just seems to come to me. People know that I've got the ability to transfer tapes and that. Great, ahead of their time R&B funk band from the 70s, Ebony Rhythm Funk Campaign. They recorded at 700 West. They had 2 albums out. The last one was done in the late 70s in Chicago. Lester Johnson, the bass player, he's 80. He still plays 3 gigs a week, and I've been in touch with him. And I said, well, Lester, where are all those old tapes? Because I love old tapes. He said, no, there aren't any. And then a couple months later, he contacts me and goes, yeah, I found some tapes. They're out in California. I'm going to have them shipped directly to you. It turned out they were half-inch 4-track tapes from 1975, recorded in the small voiceover room on a 4-track half-inch machine at TRC downtown in 1975. We still don't know who engineered them, but just 4 tracks, just like all the Beatles albums,
Yeah.
Bouncing. It was just, there's 2 tracks of the instrumental bed, a track of vocals, and a track of horns. And I've remixed and remastered all that stuff, and he loves it. And he said they're really thinking about re-releasing that as a released, the unreleased, the lost sessions of 1975, and it's really good.
Cool.
Wow, that's cool.
Third one, I can't name.
The third one.
Go ahead.
The third one you don't want to name.
Great female vocalist that we haven't decided to talk about yet.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's
Cool.
more than fair enough. Let's talk. You said we were all there in the 1970s. You're not the only one, but so talk a little bit about. We're going to be doing a show, and we're going to be honoring Faith and Roadmaster, and you worked extensively with both, and repping the Faith shirt right on. Talk about working with those guys a little bit.
Well, I got here from I moved here from Northeastern Ohio in 1970, and Northeastern Ohio was quite a hotbed. It was James Gang, Glass Harp, lots of others. Used to go see those guys all the time. And I was actually had a power trio that's real similar. We used to go see James Gang at high school dances for 50 cents and take the cassette recorder, go home and learn those songs. We knew we were playing 3 James Gang songs before the first album came out.
Wow.
But anyway, moved here, and I wasn't planning on staying, but I met all these great Anderson musicians: Mark Burton, Russell, Chick Brown, all those guys.
Russell Taylor, what a great dude!
I decided to stay, and at that point, we started going out and hearing other bands, and I was used to good music, but when I started going out and getting to clubs, I coined the phrase the Anderson Muncie Newcastle Triangle of Talent, because
it's real.
Much talent, great players, they were doing original songs, they were doing demos in the studio, they were just in a lot of ways way ahead of what was going on in Ohio at the time. I was in a band, we never got in a studio, we never had anybody tell us we needed original songs, but it was an eye-opener, and I took right to it, played with those guys in Anderson for a while, and 1974, Dan Casting was mixing Faith Band. This was after they'd already been the Chosen Few, done the Limousine album in New York, got signed with Terry Knight, changed their name, remixed the album. They became Faith. PR campaign that failed miserably, but they were signed with Terry Knight, and they couldn't sign with another label, so they just kept playing and writing, and that's what was going on in '74. So Dan Casting was mixing them. He had to leave to go tour with some major act. I think he was working with Zen Audio, and they picked up a major tour. He said, I got to leave. So Casella called me and said, man, have you ever thought about mixing a band? And I said, well, not really. He says, well, Dan's leaving right away. And I go, when? He goes, tomorrow. And okay. So they were already set up and playing at that big Reflections Club in Cincinnati. You remember that one, the big room. And PA was, I'd seen the band several times and stood next to Dan, and I knew how the PA worked. I knew where everything was. It was just a rack of little rotary mixers. There was no effects or compression or EQ or anything. It was just, you wanted it to sound different, you moved the mic. And so I went and kind of just dropped into that seat. Everything was kind of ready for me. Then I mixed them for a year. And then I went on tour with a band from France, Les Variations. And we were opening for Rush and Aerosmith and others. So I was mixing big arenas for a while. And then I went back to playing. I always did that. Went back and forth. Went back to playing. Ended up playing the Jubal Band for a couple of years. Then joined up with Mark Burton and Mike West, Phil Griffin, and John Barnard. Had the Peddler Band, 78. I was in there 78 to 81. We were on the second Homegrown album, side one, cut one. Playing the Vogue in the Patio and all that. All the good Indianapolis clubs, back and forth, making music, playing. Ended up opening a shop with y'all's friend Kathy Van Winkle. Pro shop in Broad Ripple, burnt down in the Great Fire of '83. Went to work at TRC, was on staff there for a few years. Went freelance and was working TRC and plus all the other studios in town. Was kind of an in-demand producer. Got to work with a lot of the great locally. Funny, Gary's older brother Michael he's a retired heart surgeon, and he lives in Nashville. He's got a studio in his house, and he just loves gathering up anything that was done at TRC. And when I told him I had shelves and shelves and shelves of stuff that was produced at TRC, I became his new best friend. I was all that stuff with him, and we send tapes back and forth all the time. So engineering, this and that, played with Russell and Mark Rorman and Chooch in a band called Persuaders in late 80s. Then I got a real job. I was operations manager at Indiana Roof Ballin from 92 to 02.
Yeah.
Went to work for Orlex for a while after that. Got to work alongside two of the top studio designers in the country, who are now been on their own forever, Gavin Haverstick and Jeff Hedback. every mix magazine best of the year's got those guys in it. So that's who I got to work with. Really got into studio design, installation. Did that. Worked in residential technology for several years, and ended up the director of technical training at CEDIA, which is the trade association, global trade association that serves that high-end residential technology market: home theater, home automation, automated lighting, security, all that kind of stuff. So that's where I retired from. And 2019, I've been planning this studio in my basement since we built the house in 2004. So I took some time to really lay it out and design it. And it took about a year to build it, a lot of sweat equity. And right about the time everything was hooked up and ready to go, sounded great, that's when COVID hit, and they said, you got to stay home. I said, really? Okay, that works for me. I'm staying home. I've been down here in this basement studio ever since. I do out once in a while. I do get out of the house once in a while. And yeah, that CEDIA job sent me all over the world, places people don't usually get to go, like Russia and China and South America, Australia. So that it's always great when you get to travel the world on somebody else's time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Which one of those countries was your favorite?
Really like New Zealand. I really like Argentina. They got some now, but when I was there, Buenos Aires at the time, and probably still, was my favorite city. It was just the vibe was so good. My favorite city now is probably Madrid, because I have a daughter that's lived there for 10 years.
Yeah.
I know my way around, and mi español no es bueno, so I'm not speaking much in Chinese. I mean, in Spanish. You get along pretty good in Spain, speaking English and use the sign language.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what I don't know how many people that go to see shows actually realize there's somebody there controlling all the sound, because the sound men and women, the sound technicians are generally back to the back and in the very center of the place, and people don't always notice that. Talk a little bit about the importance of.
A lot of people don't realize how important that is until they go to a show that sounds like ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they pay attention. It's the sound guy is the gateway between the artist and the audience. And if what your source is awful, there's not much you can do with it. Put lipstick on a pig. The source is good, you can still ruin it. And a good sound man just brings all of that talent and everything out, and make sure everybody hears everything. A sound man, the engineer out front is making production decisions on what to direct people's attention to. If it's a lead vocal, you need to make sure that it's where it needs to be so that everybody can hear it clearly. The solo comes up and takes the place of the lead vocal. All the while, everything else is sitting underneath and needs to be mixed perfectly so you can hear everything. A lot of people don't realize how many sound professionals have come from this area. Also, Dan.
I was about to say that. You mentioned the Anderson, Muncie, Newcastle talent triangle. The same true with talented engineers coming from this area.
Yeah. The guy that I learned a lot from was the guy that worked with the Faith Band before me. That's Dan Casting. I'm still friends with him. He's 1 week older than me and always will be. And I see him often. He worked with Seeger and Ario and Jay Giles, and then he did a lot of the smoother stuff. Manhattan Transfer, Melissa Manchester. And ended up doing an entire year and a half tour with the Rat Pack, Sinatra, and Sammy Davis, and who was the third one?
Dean Martin.
Dino. and then Dino dropped out, and the female vocalist who was a part of that whole group, it was Liza Minnelli. So with all of those, and now in the last several years, he's still working. I mean, he's still out there but he's doing primarily big corporate shows where everything has to be perfect, and they only hire the 5-star A-team top guys, which there's only a few out there. He's my age, he's 75, and he's running everything for like these big corporate meetings. So it might be thousands of people in a huge ballroom. There's some entertainment, but there's a lot of speakers, and there's walk-on cues and video rolling, and a lot of kind of producing all the sound for that. Another notable from here is George Strakis. These guys I think they're both Southport guys, come to think of it. George Strakis worked around here for a while, he's probably got the coolest resume of everybody. He mixed the Eagles for many years, and he mixed Whitney Houston for many years. And then the third guy, who's younger than us old guys, and that's John Cooper. He was mixing Why on Earth when he was just a kid. He went out with Charlie Daniels, ended up with the Judds, and then Winona. And then did several other things and filled in for Bruce Springsteen's sound guy one holiday season when the guy had the vacation off. They added some dates, and the guy from the sound company said, "We need somebody to mix Bruce." And John mixed him a few times, and they hired him. The road manager's like, "We need to get a trainer." The story is, I don't know if it's true. The story is that he gave him a number, and the guy goes, "No, hire." But he's been with Springsteen 22 years, and when Springsteen's not touring, he's doing Doobie Brothers, Sheryl Crow, John Mayer, Ringo Starr. He did Ringo's All-Star Band. He was mixing them at Madison Square Garden on Ringo's birthday, and Paul came in and sang birthday to him. So he mixed two Beatles at once.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are and there's a lot of other guys that make a living at it too. Younger guys. Those are kind of the old guys from my circle of friends.
Who mixed Mellencamp?
I don't know. He's had a couple different sound companies, and I don't personally know anybody that's actually sat in that seat. I've known everybody that's ever been in any of his bands.
Yeah,
the
right.
early band was Stella and all those guys, and
Toby
Toby. Now it's Troy and Johnny G.
Yeah, playing bass.
Dane and Troy have been with him 20 years. It's kind of interesting. Alan Johnson, good friend, longtime TRC and now Static Shack engineer, producer. And he gets people in their singer-songwriters. They're looking for, they call him the guy, "I want that Mellencamp sound." He goes, I can do that. And when they show up, it's Dane and John and Troy and I'm a guitar player that doesn't play with him anymore. He had reddish hair.
Larry Crane.
Larry
Crane.
Yeah. I mean, I walked in there. There was this band given this client the Mellencamp sound, and Larry doesn't really like to work anywhere else. He'll work with Alan, but he doesn't like to go out and just take session jobs. He'll work on a project with Alan if he says, "Look, this is what we're looking for." So yeah, all great guys. And I went in one time. I dropped picked some tape up from Alan to transfer. Those guys were all there. The artist was there. They were listening back to the rhythm section stuff. Sounded great. And then I went back a few days later to take the tapes back to Alan, and Troy was in there. He's out in the studio with sheet music 3 sheets wide and a string quartet, conducting the string quartet, playing the string charts that he wrote for this record. I mean, talent is just Troy's put accordion tracks on 2 things for me in the last couple of years. One being a Stephen Helpling. He put accordion on a ballad, and the other one, my old buddies. I keep hanging out with them. Mark Burton wrote a bunch of songs. We recorded them at Scott Ireland's home studio. We brought in L.J. Meacham and Chick Brown and Josh Ginder, and Troy played accordion on a track. We just bring in all these old people and make a good record. It's always fun.
Again, Chick Brown, one of the most talented guitarists in Indiana. Talk a little bit about Chick.
He played on 2 or 3 of these tunes on that Burton Helton project, and I just contacted him about this upcoming possible project with the female vocalist. And he texted me back and goes, "I sure would like to play on that." And I said, yeah. So we'll work together again soon, I hope.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we're going to get him on and do an episode with him.
Oh, good. Yeah.
We want to get Troy and Dane. We want to get everybody on. And the good thing is we've got enough time. It's not like, we're limited on the number of episodes we can do. So, we appreciate your time too, by the way.
With the Indiana Music History Project, which I'm very involved in, as you're aware,
right.
We got a grant to do 50 oral histories by the end of the year, and I think we're at 49 now.
Okay.
That we've recorded. They haven't been edited and finalized, but some of those are starting to.
Have you talked to just about everybody you were wanting to talk to, or were there some people that didn't want to talk?
Not bad. Well, not bad, but we knew that we're not going to get Mellencamp and Janet
right.
Jackson, John Hyatt until we've got that body of work and everybody. Right. They look at it and see it. Then we haven't even approached any of those, like the higher level echelon. But we got, we missed out on Toby, but we did get Michael Reed. I did him a couple weeks ago. We've gotten Barnsey and Carl, and then a lot of Indianapolis. I'm not the only one. I've only done 5 or 6 of these 50 interviews, but other people doing them too. And it's a pretty good collection of all, because we're talking Indiana Music History Project. The goal is to capture and archive and preserve music made everywhere in Indiana,
right,
from approximately 1900 to 2000.
Yeah,
kind of going for, and so that includes all the Jeanette Records stuff from 1920, where they were recording Louis Armstrong and blues artists, and
Richmond, right?
They did that in Richmond.
Yeah, they were in New York. All they were recording was Sousa marches and show tune stuff. And the Jeanette Records, they said, well, we want to record everything. So they reached out. They found every genre, every ethnic kind of music. They did just an amazing job of capturing all the stuff that would not be captured if it wasn't for them. And then so we've had we're trying to get all that stuff all the way up through about 2000, up to the digital age, kind of, the stuff that was released on, basically, and it's been a great experience. I've learned a lot. I thought I knew all about these Indiana artists, and I keep learning more and more and more.
We learn something every episode we do.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of yours too, and it's it is cool. I see people that I know, and I go, well, I didn't know that. I'm not telling you any secrets of mine, though. So,
well, okay. We appreciate so much what the Indiana Music History Project's doing, and you guys are going to be there on the 28th and give a little presentation and let everybody know what you're doing. Is there a website or somewhere we can direct them to them now, or is that all in the process, Jeff?
There's been a website for some time. I'll make sure I get it right here real quick.
Okay.
It is History Project. You Google it, Music History Project, and you will get oh, that's not it. Google Indiana Music History Project. I think what it takes, it's like
Google Indiana Music History Project, everybody, and come on the 28th of December, and you're gonna hear from Jeff and one of the other big dogs, Rick Wilkinson. and you guys are going to talk for a few minutes and explain what you all are doing for those that don't know. And we thank you for doing that.
For people to contribute any memorabilia or music that if they have anything on tape, then it gets transferred. They get their tapes back, and if it's pro tape or a high level requires special handling, then it gets done at my studio, and they get the tapes back, and then it gets archived as a file.
Nice.
Posters and advertisements and newspaper ads, all that kind of stuff. We scan all that and get it into the archives. And then the other project that I'm involved in, where I'm supposed to be retired, is the Audio Engineering Society, the section of the AES, which I'm on that executive committee. They sent me an email, said, would you be interested in being on the executive committee? And I said, sure. Next email I'll get is executive committee stuff. I go, I don't think I'm supposed to be on this list. I go, oh yeah, you are. Yeah, you're on the committee. So we've done some great events all the way from Fort Wayne to Richmond. We've gone and toured all the production trucks of the track. We've been to a lot of different studios. Last week we had our largest turnout ever at the Pop Machine. We had about 50 people showed up, and we ran all over that place. And
nice.
And, those guys gave a great background on the history of their studio and the construction of it and everything. A lot of great networking, and then they invited people to sit down at the SSL console. They had a Y-Store multi-track up there pulled up for people to mix and play with. So everybody had a great time. What made me think of that is my opening statement. I got drafted to represent the AES that night and do the opening welcoming. And I talked a lot about AES, but also talked a lot about the Music History Project, and had people come up to me and go, well, I've got something I want to contribute. So some people become members. Some people write a check. It's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And we just got another grant for transferring stuff, and the grant for the oral history was a Lilly grant. So we're about to finish that up and meet that commitment to have 50 oral histories done, 50 interviews, audio and video.
We appreciate so much what you guys are doing and documenting all the history in a formal and manner in which that
it is very formal. I didn't realize
it's deserved, well deserved. You're telling the stories that need to be told that might not otherwise get told. Thank you for doing that, man.
Oh yeah. So we made a list of important people that we wanted to talk to, and then we started with the people who were the oldest. Because we don't want to miss anymore. Like we've missed already Ricky and Toby.
Yeah.
Dave
Bennett.
And Dave too, yeah, Benny. So one of them that was done was Art Adams. He's in his 90s, a rockabilly guy had records in the 50s, and then kind of made a comeback and was popular in Europe. He was a hoot, and a few others. But I'm glad I had a great interview with Bone, Michael Reed, and just this is what happens. We're finished up. He goes, I got a couple tapes for you. I go, okay. So I just have in my possession now 2 multi-track master tapes of some Roadmaster stuff. I don't even know what it is yet. Dave Barnes said, I got some tapes for you. I got a box of tapes in my basement. And I think every, if not almost every, Faith and Roadmaster master reels from the albums.
Wow. That is so cool.
Shots line in Nashville. I have the gear to do it with, but his gear is better. He's got an MCI, real studio MCI 1/4" and 24 track, and all the right noise reduction hardware, which I have, but his is probably calibrated better than mine is. So for something of that importance, we took it all to him, and he transferred it all for us.
Wow,
sweet. Do you know J. Michael Henderson?
Michael Henderson has been interviewed. Oh wait, no, by you, not by us yet, I don't think.
Okay, yeah, we have, and J. Michael has some stuff. So you might reach out, and Alan Kay's got stuff.
Both of those guys have been here.
Okay.
and I think Henderson has a few more things for you, but he's been here a couple times. We've listened to all his stuff, and I've transferred tapes for him. Alan's been here. There's still a couple tapes here. He left the last time. So this is kind of funny. You mentioned Alan Kay, Kokomo guy. In with these Faith and Roadmaster albums was a big red reel. It's probably still around here somewhere. And on the back it says, now see, my memory's good. Bad. It was the band from Kokomo that Ricky played in before Nebula Spoon, 26-minute medley recorded in the studio in breathtaking monaural. And and I mean, and it's great. It transferred great, and I get on the Alan. Guess what I got? And funny thing, it was in with those tapes. I don't know how it got in with those tapes, but the note on it says that it was supposed to be. It was for Ricky. But he didn't get it. But everybody else has got it now.
Nice.
And Alan got a big kick of it. He remembers that medley. He was a big fan. Nebula Spoon. See, you guys are all younger than me, so your memory's better than mine.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that you mixed Mel's Project 19 band. They
brought me out of retirement. I hadn't done any live mixing. I'd been playing and working at Cedia, and I think I ran into. No, I went out and saw the band a couple, and Mike Chaplin was mixing, and he's mixing Jambox now, and he's got a studio in his home, and then he went to go mix Jambox. Tim was like, "You should come and mix the band." I go, "I haven't done that in a long time, but it sounds like fun." And so I did it for a few years. I mixed this guy's drums for a few years. Mixing live, even if it's in a club or a Moose Lodge or something, is always so much better when you have a great band on stage that plays together, it plays tight and sings well. And that's what Project 19 does. And when I retired, I found somebody good to take over for me. Johnny's been with him for a few years now. But if he ever needs a night off, I've only mixed 2 shows this year. The year before last, I mixed 66.
Whoa.
Mostly on iPads. It was the year before last. Mostly on iPads. Some festival stuff. Some of the outdoor stuff. Project 19 things. But then my wife retired. She goes, "Are you just going to be gone every weekend forever?" I said, "I think I'm going to back up." Then the next year I did 3. This year. Last year I did 3. I actually mixed Flying Toasters 3 times. And this year, Dane Clark called me up in January. He goes, I need you to mix my band. And I go, wait, come on, where, what? My CD release party. That's the Jazz Kitchen. I go, they got great sound guys at Jazz Kitchen. It always sounds great. He goes, yeah, this is a rock show. I need you. Okay. So I went in and mixed. They took great care of me. They had the Alan Heath desk all set up for me, just like I asked. The show went great, and everybody told me how great it sounded. I never exceeded 100 dB at the mix position at the Jazz Kitchen. It still sounded like a rock show. That's the challenge. Anybody can.
Yeah, you can blow people. Anybody can crank everything up and blow people out. That's not what it's really about.
Knows this. I have club owners come up to me and say, I can't believe it sounds so good, and we're talking. That's the test. That's the challenge. There is make a band sound good at under 100 dB.
And that comes from listening to frequencies more than listening to music.
Yeah, you got to have control over it. You got to have, first of all, you got to have a band that's not playing through Marshall stacks. I mean, that's just the end. You can't compete with a loud stage volume, but if you got a band that's not too loud on stage, and you can make that low end thump, you can keep vocals out front, you can make all the instruments clear and let them trade places. You're not going to have 2 guitars up in a mix all the time. You're going to have both of them sitting under the vocals until one takes a solo. or the keyboard player takes a solo. Everybody, there's only so much space in the air for sound, and you got to divide it up and take turns. And the guys, even the guys that are doing big concerts, John Cooper, he's so good. He told me he's mixed all those people, you know, John Mayer, and Ringo, and Sheryl Crow, and who knows everybody else. But he said the Doobie Brothers, not only are they great to work for, but when he solos up and listens to the sounds that are coming from stage, they're all so good. Then you put that out into the whole room, and it's so easy to make it sound good when all the sources are that quality.
Yeah.
Yes. If I'd stuck with it, I probably would have ended up mixing arenas. The only arenas I mixed was opening acts for Aerosmith and Rush and stuff. But I never mixed the headliners in arenas, although I got to mix in Santa Monica Civic Center and in those places, but I wasn't mixing the headliner. My problem is I just always bounce around from one thing to another. You know, I go, well, this year I'm going to play guitar. This year I'm going to mix sound. This year I'm going to design and install recording studios. Oh, hey, I think I'll be the operations manager at the Indian Roof Ballroom for 10 years.
Are you still playing guitar?
One of the things I might have got good at it.
Are you still playing guitar?
I'm not. My hands have kind of gone south on me, but I do have a couple of guitars here in the studio to fiddle around on a little bit. My goal was to at least get back to the point where I could hop up on a open stage and sit on a blues tune. I haven't done it yet, but it's been about 6 years since I've actually played gigs or, really played seriously. My daughter, who lives in Spain, she plays bass and drums, and her boyfriend's a guitar player. And so last year when they were here, we sat down here and all played. You know? So yeah. I'm kind of happy just producing music. I mean, I urge everybody to watch out for Stephen Helpling because his stuff is so good, and I'm real pleased with how it's come out. And that Ebony Rhythm Funk stuff, if it gets released, just it sounds good, but keep in mind it was a 4-track recording. So I could have gone through AI and split everything out. I tried it a little bit and I didn't like the results, and the way it was mixed in the first place, it was so tight and glued together and sounded so good. I said, I'm not messing with that. I'll just mix in the vocals and the horns and get the good blend and master the whole thing up to the right level.
So is that the one that was recorded out at 700 West?
No, this was a demo recorded at TRC downtown in 75. Oh. This is the demo that got them their last record deal in Chicago.
Oh,
so
okay.
These songs are also on that last record. It's called Watching Me, Watching You, Watching Me. Mm-hmm. And what a great band. They're all in their 20s basically when this was recorded, and you could hear the Earth, Wind and Fire influence, the James Brown influence, the Stevie Wonder influence, Anita Baker. I mean, you just hear all these high quality influences just flowing through this band. Two great singers, Pam Tanner and a male vocalist named Tony. I don't know I haven't got all the real information from Lester yet. We will if we actually do a release of some sort. We'll get all the credits on there. And I still don't know who was the engineer. There's slates on here where you hear click and they go, watching me, watching you, take 6. You can hear the engineer talking. I played that for everybody. Nobody knows who it is.
Nobody knows who it was. Wow. That's crazy. Well, if you happen to see this and you know who some of the engineers were, TRC back in the day.
We know a lot of them. I mean, Andy Simons, all the ones that they can think of, and they all listened to it and said, no, we don't know, we don't recognize that voice.
Wow.
Greg Riker was one of them, and George Strakis did some engineering. Mark Copenhaver. There's a bunch of guys that were engineers down there at that time. We don't know who it was.
I went to high school with the Schatz lines.
Oh yeah, they're Nicetown guys.
Yeah. Mike graduated high school when he was like 15. He was so far ahead of everybody. Hell, he was a doctor before he turned 20, probably.
But he was the first surgeon to do a heart transplant in Fort Wayne.
Yeah, he's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And poor Gary.
You know, Gary was always treated me great. When the pro shop burnt down in the Great Fire of '83, I was already producing a couple acts, including Clarion, recording at TRC with Andy Engineering, and I was the producer. And Gary just said, "What are you going to do?" And I go, "I don't know." And he goes, "Come work for me for a while." And he put me in there to help coordinate and do some engineering and production on that third homegrown album, the one that Clarion was on. When that was done and over, he just said, "Just stay."
Nice.
I was only never hired at TRC that wasn't an intern first. I just kind of snuck. Andy sat me down at the board the Monday morning. I officially became a staff member, and he showed me the signal flow and the routing to and from the tape deck through the hair. He goes, "Okay, you're on your own."
You hear from Eric lately?
Yeah,
Eric
actually. And then I'll tell you what, those hikes that he goes on make my feet hurt just looking.
Oh God, yeah. He goes for miles and miles and carries a tent, and he camps out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I walk for the viewers who Eric Turner is.
Blocks and blocks. I walk for blocks and blocks. That's Eric was the sound man for our band in the early '70s. Me and Mark Burton and Rick Ireland, and then Vinny Malacarney.
Target?
Yeah, Target. Yeah, he was the sound man. We all hopped in his red van. One time we were coming back from Ohio. It was real rainy and slippery, and we slid off in this mud, rolled that van over in a cornfield.
Oh.
And I was in the back of the van, laying on top of the gear.
Oh.
Luckily, the amp that landed on me was a tuck and roll padded custom bass cabinet. So I was uninjured, but the band was total. I got polarized of it somewhere.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with Eric. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was out with you guys for a long time.
Yeah, he went down south with us.
Yeah,
and then he went on and
yeah, he
ran sound for
Clare Brothers.
Yeah, he was with Clare Brothers for a long time.
Yeah,
where he retired from. He ended up being like their shop guy that prepped all the racks, troubleshooted, and tested everything.
Yeah, I always remember him with a flashlight in his mouth and a soldering iron and
yeah, that's familiar.
Yeah, he was worth his weight in gold, that's for sure.
Well, people always say which decade is your favorite, and I can't say, because 60s was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
70s were great. The 80s were great. You had a shop, and I recorded a bunch of stuff at TRC. I mean, I got stuff on the wall here, all kinds of stuff that I produced at TRC. 90s, I was at Indiana Roof Ballroom, and just really getting into full-time design and studio design and installation. And I try to retire from that too. But Jason Hayes from Flying Toasters, we want to put a studio in where they got a big, like, brand new barn where all the trucks and everything parked.
Yeah.
Like stairs area. And I said, man, I don't know. And he's like, well, you don't have to do any actual work, just design and configure. And so I did all the drawings, all the cable schedules, block diagrams, everything, so that it could be. And then I was there when everybody was doing the work. They had other people helping with soldering, and they had pulled the cables all according to what I had on the drawings. It came out great. I was just over there recently, and it's working great. They get a lot of use out of that. They got a drum set and a B3 and a Leslie in the big room, and Pro Tools, and so using the Midas M32, I knew, he said, well, I can get this big Harrison board, some analog board. And I go, if you do that, then you need like 24 channels of converters, IOs, to go digital to analog to digital again. To do that right, you got to spend a lot of money. You got to have a lot of patch bays. You got to have a lot of cabling. And I did a kind of a comparison of what it would cost to do it that way, even if you got a deal on the big board. And I said, we can do this all with one digital desk that does everything and interfaces to Pro Tools, runs your headphones, does all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't completely sure on exactly how to configure it to make it do that. I knew it would do it because I have a similar board here and I've mixed on it a lot live. And a buddy of mine said, I know a guy in Nashville that knows that platform inside and out. And you know, I want to talk to him. He goes, well, let me make sure it's okay for you to call him. And his name's Scoop Blandon. He's a well-known engineer, producer in Nashville. And he said, yeah, he said, go ahead and give him a call. So I called him. I said, man, this is Jeff Gardner. Here's what I'm trying to do. He said, you could probably help me. He goes, okay, are you sitting at the mixer? I go, yep, I'm right here now. He goes, okay, go to the routing button. Now, when you get that screen, click over 3 clicks to this. And he walked me through all the things to configure in this board, all the digital routing and naming conventions and routing to and from everything. And he said, you're good to go now. I said, man, that is so cool. I'm going to save that. I'm going to take it over to Jason's and load that scene into his mixer. And then I hear this door slam. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, I just came in the house. I was watering the garden.
So he was telling you while not looking at any of it.
Way to make me feel like a dummy.
Well, you're not. And we appreciate you being on here. Will you come back on with us again soon?
Sure, we'll find something different to talk about. Maybe then I'll have 2 or 3 albums.
Cool. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping.
And more stuff for the music history. And I've got an idea in my head. I'll close with this. I haven't brought it to everybody's attention yet, but I'd like to do an event that brings together all the studio and live engineers from Indiana, from the old to the young, and do it as a collaboration between the Music History Project and the Audio Engineering Society.
Yeah.
And find a venue and have them all come together and just network and maybe have a couple of keynote speakers and
that
have
would be a cool forum.
Stuff on a nice system. And so, yeah, well, you know, I got time. I'm only 75.
Yeah. I think that'd be a cool forum. Well, we appreciate you, man. And we'll see you in the clubs, if not before.
Well, Mel, you know, if Johnny wants a night off, let me know.
Okay. And, hey, thanks for John. Thanks for sending John our way.
I've also said that to a few other people. I'm not really looking for gigs, but if somebody needs a night off and it's a band I enjoy, I can stay up past 9:30 if I need to.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's going to be the toast, if it's going to be the Flying Toasters, you know.
Oh yeah,
bands like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
These guys, or there's a couple other bands out there that.
Yeah.
I'll go do. Guys, keep up.
Cool.
Up the good work.
All right,
man. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. That has been Jeff Gardner. We appreciate you all watching. It is a dark world.
Be a light.
Love you all. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share, and